can't add it once your stream starts. I just hit go. All right, we're live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So glad to be here with you all. I wanted to host this to not only get to know you, but have everyone get to know you as well. My name is Riley. A lot of people know me online as Riley Beans, and I am currently in Vietnam. I am not from Vietnam, obviously. I am from America, North Carolina. And I have been in Vietnam since March of this year. And so my last work in Ethereum was editor-in-chief of ETH and Investors Club quarterly magazine. We produced 4 issues, curating a lot of stories from founders, investors, other creators in the ecosystem. And that was a lot of fun. But when that sort of ended, I wanted to continue exploring Asia since I first visited Bangkok in November for DevCon. I loved it so much, and I've always wanted to come here and explore and learn and listen and eat some good food and be out in nature. I spent many, many years um, in America, not really doing those things. And I thought this would be a great time to learn and explore and sort of listen, really listen to people. So that's especially what I wanted to do today, is listen to all of you, because my work that I'm doing with Kimia Mag is a research project on how we create and cultivate and tell the story of meaning and purpose as things like AI and labor becomes disrupted and disruptive in our cultures and in our societies, and especially online and offline as well. So, and that has meant a lot of listening to people here locally as well. People who use ChatGPT to do very basic things, but are still learning. People that aren't building technology, but are getting out and sort of observing their inner selves through meditation, through yoga, through coffee meetups, through making friends. And I have been observing this culture where community building is just sort of built into who people are in Asia. And it's really interesting how different it is from the other experiences I've had, making friends in other parts of the world, right? And so that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you all about today as well, to learn about how you are doing storytelling in your life in general, whether that be through Ethereum or through friendships, through family life, um, and then also learn about how you, through your work, will be bringing Ethereum to local cultures as well. Because I believe that while we are creating content and stories for a global audience, what's really important is the preservation of local cultures and these communities that we are building, outside of our bedrooms, right? Because what goes on out in the real world is people who need to hear this story of Ethereum and be educated and learn and hear your message of what's going on the protocol level, what's going on when we connect with each other in our communities and online, and then see how those things can merge together.
Awesome.
Okay?
Yeah. So I guess each of us could share our stories. And Sin,
Yes.
are you driving? Are you driving right now?
Sin, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hi, yes, how are you?
Are
I look
you actually
very
driving?
zoomed in. Yes,
We
I
can
am on
join
my
later.
way
That's fine.
to the wild. We're going
Okay.
camping today, so I'm touching grass.
But you're not actually driving, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's driving.
Uh,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
how's everyone doing?
Well, you can join later if you need to for safety reasons.
All right, I mean, I'll listen. I'm not driving. I'm just sitting in the passenger
oh,
Okay,
seat.
it's
okay.
passenger. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So I
right.
guess I can start with my story. Also, originally from the U.S. 7 years ago, I decided to travel the world. Stopped in Taiwan. Still here. So we all like to, explore and find what really resonates with us, and that's what I found here. And um, I do get that idea of like, all right, well, we're familiar with one thing, but sometimes once we explore something else, that might be our new thing. And I guess that can resonate a lot with people in their storytelling and their communities. And, there's a lot of different ways to approach that. And kind of went on way too many directions there. But my original story is, originally from the US, made my way out to Taiwan, started making content, and I feel like the storytelling of my channel and my socials is really more casual, more like, all right, well, what are you doing in crypto? This is what you can do. This is what other people are doing. This is what it really means. These things are going to deceive you. Watch out for that. And just trying to approach it from a more talking to a friend perspective. So I think that's the style I really go for. And my idea to bring in more people to crypto and these other communities is to really showcase the different opportunities there. So maybe you're not an investor, but maybe you want a job in crypto. There are a lot of different roles that don't really involve you needing to be very technical or very investor like or a developer. There's an entire ecosystem, an entire world that crypto is bringing in through roles that you might not expect.
Mm. You talked about jobs in crypto.
Yeah.
How?
So, I think this is something we overlook. Like crypto exchanges employ thousands of people. A lot of them aren't developers or traders. Maybe they're marketing, maybe they're BD, maybe they're more art and design, maybe they're project managers, maybe they're copywriters. It's just the entire industry that really employs probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, but I don't know how to get those metrics. I don't really understand like how big that crypto industry is, and I think that is something we should be sharing because it's massive.
Actually, there are a few people, a few organizations that do research on this and put out yearly reports on
Oh,
salaries and different jobs that are available in industry wide. And so maybe we can share those at
oh
some point.
yeah.
But I'm really curious to hear your opinion on how you think jobs in crypto, um, by creators or whatnot, will change over the next 5 to 10 years. What do you think?
Well, I think that's the entry, like maybe some people might be apprehensive about joining crypto because of what they hear, but they don't really hear that it could just be regular people, regular jobs, it's just they might just be hearing the scams, they might just be hearing the scandals, but it's much bigger than that. So I think over time, if we really open up the perception of what crypto is and working in crypto and the people there, that can really open the doors for people to get curious, to come in, to maybe either like find roles in it or find out what they can do that isn't as risky.
Mm, yeah, I mean, all of my jobs in crypto have been sort of people coming to me and saying, you can sort of do your own thing, do what you're meant to be doing. And so I'm really interested in hearing from all of these storytellers and all these builders who just are just using their imagination to say, okay, this is what I really want to do. Let's make it happen.
Mhm,
And this is what I'm called to do. This is my genius in life. This is what I'm meant to do. And so how can I make that happen in crypto? Because it's this other thing that isn't collapsing, right? When
mhm.
when everything else around you is collapsing, you're looking towards something that has people who believe in it, people who are having fun, and you're saying, "Wow, I I kind of want to do that." And so, how can I use my imagination to do something interesting that gives me an outlet for my passion? And it seems like all of you here are doing just that.
Oh, I wanted to bring up one more example. So Token 2049 was last week. I had a couple interviews with some crypto people, some founders, but behind the scenes, I was talking to people that were making those like interviews possible, some of the event staff, some of the um, marketing staff, and I found my chats with them more interesting just because they were more real. They didn't have, these planned answers, and we got to talk about like, oh, how they set up the event, the craziness, the things going on behind the scenes, the achievements, the hurdles, the stress, the anxiety, all the different things. And those are the chats I enjoy more just because they're very real, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, that realness. So I'm wondering from Valen, Jay, and Sin, how do you bring your sort of uniqueness to the experiences that you provide? Do you do events? Do you how in your talking to people, how do you make them sort of understand who you are?
I can share a little bit. So
Yeah.
I have been doing events. I hosted one of the first Web3 hackathons in Taiwan, about like 5, 6 years ago now, and continue doing events because I feel like IRL experiences are so important in this industry when we're most of the time just online by ourselves 24/7. Um, and IRL, you get way more honest and insightful conversations with people versus kind of just like things you might just say with the text. And I think, yeah, like I agree with what you said, right? Like having that kind of like conversation with the event planners and getting more of those insights that's like less scripted and less
Sorry,
edited.
are you getting static? Is anyone else getting static? Is that just me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Is that someone else's microphone or is that Sin's? Sorry, I don't know. I
Is
just
that
want to
mine?
make sure it's a good experience for everyone.
Yeah, I can hear the static.
Okay, is it still on?
Let me.
Yeah.
Did oh, okay. Is someone
It's
muted? It went out.
okay. I muted myself, so maybe it is just from me because I'm just speaking like straight to the phone.
Oh,
Okay.
it was clear for a while. Then something went crazy.
Oh, okay. Is it still crazy right now?
Yeah.
It is. Hold on. Let me reset you. Okay, try that.
Oh,
Oh,
it
it's still
turned.
static.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Okay. Come back.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Maybe she can come back.
Mhm.
How about you, Valen at ETH Panda? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so at East Panda, we actually host a lot of events. And I mean, I'm part of a lot of communities beyond East Panda. And at East Panda, I'm just really, doing the translations, and I'm also helping to put events and, putting together this Octant round for ETH Panda. And yeah, events is a little bit tricky because, like organizing our East Shanghai that is due to happen between 18 to the 22nd of October. We had a lot of challenges trying to get sponsors because it's Shanghai. Shanghai is relatively more expensive than other parts of China. Getting us sponsors and also getting enough people to join our hackathon, and also getting enough speakers, from the broader Ethereum ecosystem to join the conference in China and Asia, uh, where there are very, very few events that are happening around that area at this point in time. Yeah, it's just really challenging. And because we offer our event for free, we really have to be very prudent with the budget. And overall, it has been, really hats off to my team because there are like 8 other people that are working on this. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm glad that you shared that. So this story, what is the overall reason that people should be coming to East Shanghai?
Yeah. So the main reason is connecting with other builders because I think at least I'm I'm not based in mainland. I'm actually a Singaporean. Yeah, because I am part of this community even though I'm not based in mainland China. But I think a lot of the people in our Chinese community are working remotely, so having a physical event where they can actually meet other people is really useful for them. And I think having a technical event, because we're not talking about like, pump and dump projects, we're not soliciting people to buy a certain token, is actually quite good because the regulations around token projects or specific, you know, coins is pretty regulated. So having kind of like a safe space in a different sense is good and healthy for the community so that they can know that they they can make an appearance, like without um yeah, without being online behind a pseudonym to try and make some connections. And I think for newcomers into the ecosystem, meeting other people already in the ecosystem can help them decide whether or not they should do an internship
Oh,
locally or maybe like remotely. I think this is pretty interesting because I've spoken to quite a few Chinese contributors that are, sorry, Chinese community members that are, have non-technical background, like maybe they're designers or maybe they're just trying to find BD roles. And they told me that one thing that would really be helpful is to work remotely so that maybe they could move into Chiang Mai or like Thailand or other regions that are more affordable so that like they could like start saving up for whatever, like their future
mhm.
plans.
Yeah, yeah.
And they really want like a remote job, like a bounty dashboards because they understand that maybe for full-time job for whatever reasons, maybe for visa issues even, they might not hold that down, but they're happy with like a bounty roles every now and then, like short-term contractor role. So yeah, to me that was very interesting to hear because they like they're content with having that as a start. So
And this means that it is, this this tells me and us that it is so important to listen to people who actually come to these events and say, wow, okay, this person is not just being vulnerable with me about their status and their circumstance and their desires about their future and their present life, but they're giving me great feedback on how we can coordinate the entire ecosystem, right? And I think that's really important to really listen and add that element of care, because yes, people want to work remotely, and then we see all of these roles that are based in San Francisco or New York or London, or you have to come into an office, but it doesn't allow the freedom of choice that a remote role would give. Even some remote roles are locked into a specific time zone, and so you're locked into a culture or a area of the world. And I just think that, especially as a storyteller or as a coordinator, that it's really important to, not only make a living, but also be able to travel and learn from people around the world. Um, so I'm interested. Do any of you get out into your local communities as well as these sort of global events?
For myself, there is a local crypto community of like other builders or people in the space, but that's all in English. I know there are some Chinese communities, but I can't speak Chinese,
Yeah,
so
me neither.
but I do cross paths with them.
I'm learning Vietnamese, but it's so small right now. I don't know very much.
I know the difficulty with the tones. Yeah.
It's so difficult. What about you, Jay?
Don't worry.
Yeah, the Tcurry's team creates content about Ethereum to the Korean audience, and we've been focusing on creating content through or delivering content through our Telegram channel instead of hosting some events. But we have 8 members, and we have different expertise by each person. So we gather once a month in real life, and we discuss about how to uh, manage our Telegram group chat, and also about our opinions on the Ethereum roadmap or future upgrades and whatnot. And sometimes we bring other people who are interested in Ethereum, but we haven't actively promoted this kind of meetups. But from now on, we will start working on hosting some events, because at the end of the day, South Korea is a very small country, and half of population is living in or near Seoul, so it's very easy to host an event, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So yeah, that's our current plan. But yeah, and since we have 8 members, each member joins a different event, and they sometimes attend as a speaker. So yeah, that's how we are doing right now.
And all of those 8 team members are near you? They're nearby?
Yeah, we're all living in Seoul or near Seoul.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're starting to bring other people in. Yeah, that's really great. What do you think you'll talk about?
So next meetup in the next meetup is in 2 weeks, and we will talk about mainly about Ethereum upgrades, and also about privacy. Recently, Ethereum Foundation published an article about their privacy roadmap. So my personal interest is in privacy these days, because at the end of the day, Ethereum is the perfect place for also for institutions. So to attract more institutions, privacy is the key, because, for example, in TradFi, the trading volume of in the dark pool is higher or bigger than that of open market. So institutions want to hide their amount or their recipient or sender addresses. So privacy is not only for retails, but also for institutions. So I wanna discuss about privacy more in the next meetup.
Yeah, that's really great. I think privacy is really important. What do you think about, how privacy can give us an outlet for creating meaning and purpose on chain? Do you think that's possible
Um,
by allowing us to choose, um, agency, choose what jobs we want to choose what to build, things like that?
hmm. I haven't really thought about in that perspective, but
Yeah.
I think voting system is the uh, easiest um,
Yes.
thing that we can achieve by privacy. And yeah, and from voting,
Questions about that?
uh, we can start building on top of this kind of secret voting system. So yeah.
Hmm. And Valen, I see that you're very happy to talk about privacy as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, for sure. I'm actually uh, a co-initiator of East Auckland, and as part of East Auckland, and we're actually co-organizing the Privacy Hub at Dev Connect. Yeah, so if you are listening, you're tuning in, please come to Dev Connect. Please come to the Privacy Hub, and just to a nod at Jay's what Jay said just now, institutions want privacy because whatever that they do on chain is IP. Like if I want to trade a particular coin at this particular time is my trading strategy. Why the hell would I want to like share it with the rest of the world? And they probably don't want to give that competitive advantage to someone else, and they
Mm.
probably don't really want to backtest whatever algorithm that they're building on a really public blockchain, and everybody can like copy trade, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think privacy, for the institutions, the big players, they really care about that. And for us, I like happy to chime in, because I know that Taiwan has a really strong, I guess, cypherpunk, or like a really strong privacy focus. And I mean, privacy is actually freedom, like to me, because you get to choose what kind of information you want to expose to other people, um, which is their business. Otherwise, anything that you choose not to expose is none of their business, pretty much. It is normal. I mean, you don't go outside with like no clothing and then you add on clothing as you walk. So, like you go outside with like proper clothing, and if you're really warm, maybe you take off a cardigan, that kind of thing. So like privacy is kind of normal if you think in a non-web3 sense. So to me, like privacy is like a choice that you can choose what to do with whatever information that you want. So it's really, really important, especially for like the Chinese community, and I think for a lot of the communities in the next near future, because of all the check control regulations that are happening in
Surveillance tech.
other countries. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So why are we just now talking about privacy at large, right? I mean, there have been other privacy protocols before, and there still are. But why is it now? Why is it now that it's a focus? Because I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I've listened to a lot of people talking about how this is a major flaw of, the thing that we're doing here is that you can see what everyone's doing. It's so transparent. But now we're talking about privacy as at the same time as all of these surveillance mechanisms worldwide are increasing in their uh, power that they're being given. We're
Oh,
being reactionary once again. Is that the case, or is there some other reason that we're just now seeing this resurgence of cypherpunk and privacy tech and things, Zcash, things like that?
I think we had some other issues to solve. For example, scalability.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, before we had layer twos, we Ethereum was very expensive and very slow. So we need to solve scalability issue first, and then now the UX or scalability is much better. Then we can move to privacy, and I think that's one. And the other is that um, it's because institutions are trying to come to blockchain space. Um, I feel like we individuals don't care about privacy that much. Let's say we use credit card daily, but there are not many people who actually use cash to uh, maintain their privacy. So we just give out our payment info to um, those card companies. So, but to institutions, it's very important to hiding their information on chain. So I think these two aspects uh, are making this time as for a good time for privacy.
Yeah, I
Mm.
agree with that. Just because the demand is starting to accumulate, we've had a lot of different things for privacy in crypto for a while, but there was no demand. The demand was in another place where it was more consumer based. So now that these institutions are coming in, they're going to want some privacy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also think that maybe in crypto Twitter we are all in an echo chamber. It was nobody sort of really talked about privacy until Vitalik put out a Twitter post about it, and then um, after that you sort of get a lot of news about hacks, and then a lot of mainstream media news articles about companies suing OpenAI for using their data, or OpenAI. If you're a user of OpenAI, there might be some bugs where OpenAI might incorrectly fetch the answers to questions of another user. Like, for example, Bruce from East Panda, he used OpenAI, and then one day, all of a sudden, no particular reason, OpenAI answered a question that he didn't ask and gave him
Mm.
like information that he didn't actually tell that ChatGPT. So
That's
it
very
was,
interesting.
yeah, it was really how people start to realize that, hey, actually, how are my data used? How did my data end up in these companies? I wasn't aware of that. And
Mm.
then the chat control stuff comes in, and then you have like age verification, KYC, and then if all these events in isolation are taken in isolation, might not seem so bad, but when it happened one after another, then it will appear like, oh my gosh, this is really really bad, that people's data are harvested. And you also have the 23andMe being
Yeah.
bankrupt, and the data of those poor people that sign up for a package back in the days might actually be sold to the highest bidder, whoever that might be. You know, so these things cumulatively made it bad, made the whole situation really bad. I think I would kind of agree with Jay. Feel free to jump in at any point in time, that actually quite a large portion of people might not be aware, or might not really like so-called care about privacy. And just looking at reflecting back on the panel that I did at AdCon with Edward from Railgun and Daniel from Space Computer, shout out, is that people from New Zealand, like for example, like there's this lady, she actually sold her data and her, like like her persona, her demeanor, to a teleco company so that they can build like an AI persona out of her. and she's happy with it. Like, especially in like this generation, you could actually make content selling who you are, you know, putting on Instagram where you are, what you're eating, who you're eating with. All these could be private to maybe you and I, because we might want, you know, we value that. But it's very easy to commoditize such information and earn some marketing dollars in return.
Mm, interesting. And I'm glad to hear your perspectives on this because I hear locally, I talk to people and they say, yeah, I'm really concerned about if ChatGPT is stealing my data or you know, or if the government's watching my bank account transactions and things like that, you know. There's a lot of people that I talk to who are just so paranoid and conspiracy minded and like, okay, sure, you know, well, maybe that will, you know, continue to stay the same. But I'm curious from all of you, what makes building or in storytelling in Asia important to you? What rather than, you know, maybe going somewhere else, or especially Dan, you moved here and you stayed. What makes it important for you to be here and be telling this story to people in Asia?
Just really comfort of life. I'm just much more comfortable being in Asia than back home in the States. And you know that's
Yeah.
a personal preference, but I found a lot of other expats who had made the same decision. And you know, I think you can create new opportunities for yourself if you take that risk, which is something that does resonate with a lot of crypto users who got in early and took that risk and, you know, invested time into being a part of those communities and getting something back just from taking that risk. So I think that is the best angle I can come up with that people would resonate with. I don't know if I'm necessarily uh, within the crypto community of Asia specifically, because all my content is like English and more uh, global based. But I think that is one of the angles to really go with. Like, all right, you do something new, you might be uncomfortable with it, you might be taking a risk, but the payoff could be pretty good. You know, that could also resonate with gambling, but aside from that, it's more about like learning new things, exploring, and going on a journey, which is something we all get from like traveling.
Yeah, pretty much the same for me. Yeah. It's been really nice to sort of go on this journey this of adventure and just learning from
Hmm.
people every day, making new friends. I didn't anticipate how easy it would be to make new friends and how eager people would be to become like, oh, let's just go hang out. Let's have lunch today, or you know, let's just chill, you know. Someone asked me what I see myself doing in 5 years recently. And I said, I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just hang out, you
Hmm.
know, and tell stories and listen to people and do what I'm doing right now, you know? When I tell people on Farcaster like what I'm doing every week, they're like, "Wow, you're living the life. You're getting out in nature, you're going on hikes, you're doing group meditation and yoga and everything seems nice." And I I don't know if I had anticipated such a wonderful time here, you know? So and it's been really, I did, you know, 6 AI workshops this past summer and helped people understand how to use their creativity and imagination and storytelling ability using AI. And a lot of people put those things into practice with improving their businesses and their content creation. Um, and now I'm starting to talk to people individually about how Ethereum can help us in our local community through things like Octant V2 and Gitcoin and things like that. to fund our outings or new equipment. I think that we get into this, like Valen said, this bubble of thinking that, oh, all of our funding mechanisms can only be put towards like developer work, or or events, or public goods or whatever. But I think when we start to get out in the world and build local communities, we start to understand that, hey, these local communities need funding too, to buy new things, to go on trips together, and to reward people for hosting events. We have like 10 different hosts that host events every single day of the week, including a coffee meetup that has like 40 people. If we could reward those people for the hard work that they're putting in, I think that's worth it, right? Um, so I would love to hear about the other two, your stories on how on sort of why building here in Asia is important to you. Jay, what do you
Yeah.
think?
The ticker is ETH is the only builder-centric community in Korea, because the Korean market is heavily focused on trading, not building. There are several regions, and one of the regions is because of the Terra collapsed in 2022, and many builders were also failed. Also failed because they were supposed to build on top of it. So, and there's a lot of regulations about crypto companies. So our focus is mainly on trading, and since there are many traders, not builders, we see more of new projects or layer one projects, because layer two tokens uh, are not being utilized as gas tokens, and they are only utilized as governance tokens. So their token price performance is uh, not sometimes not good enough for Korean people to make money. So we focus more on layer ones or new projects, and so I felt like we need at least one builder centric community, especially for Ethereum builders. And what we are trying to do is to highlight the core values of Ethereum, such as hardness, trustless, or censorship resistance and whatnot. And also, we want to highlight local builders in the Ethereum and layer two ecosystems, and also highlight global builders who are interested in the Korean market.
Mm, nice, thank you so much. And how about you at ETH Panda?
Yeah, so we really want our legacy. I think I can speak for our team at ePanda that we really want our legacy to last maybe beyond whatever funding that we've got. Like, let's just be realistic about that. We are non-for-profit, which means, yeah, we do not commercialize our services. We do not commercialize our products. I mean, this was given for free. And we don't really have a stable source of income, unlike a company, for example. And a lot of our expenses are from sponsors, and it was incredibly hard to get sponsored for just like one conference. We also have a trustless agents summit that is coming up at Dev Connect. We want to host like the mini grants for builders that are successful in our mini hackathon in our casual hackathon in November. So we got to find sponsors for that as well, for projects continue building past the casual hackathon. Yeah, I think yes. So on the legacy part, what we really focus on is making sure that our GitHub repos, our content are fully open source and they are assessed like truly accessible to anybody who just wants to use our resources. And I think this is really important because I don't know what the regulatory landscape would be in the future, and I don't know how bad it would be, or maybe how good it could be. And if we want Ethereum to continue innovate, especially, within the Chinese community, we want builders to continue building on Ethereum rather than, just moving on to like a regulations friendly country and building like random, not so meaningful pump
Hmm.
dump projects.
Hmm.
I think we really need that open, decentralized effort. And that starts with, hard knowledge, technical knowledge. And then we could, like what all of you are doing, just making information accessible, making information readable and relatable to everybody, and maybe to newcomers, maybe to intermediate people, maybe to people that are just lurking in the background, that kind of thing. So this is what we're really trying to do, really trying to onboard people, making sure that information like truly gets across, and making sure that they are committed to open source software and continue to build regardless of what really happens to entities, to institutions. Yeah.
Well, what you said was really interesting, and I'm wondering, do you believe that the culture and the people in China where you are, the people that you talk to, have that open mindset of, or an open mind to open source development and open source building? Do you think they have the cypherpunk mentality of not being lured by the unmeaningful projects, or the kind of sloppiness of that side of Ethereum?
I think because I surround myself with like-minded people, so I do find that this is a common theme with my group of friends or the people that I meet. Definitely, we need more people with such thinking. I don't think this is a very uh, common value that a lot of people share. Yeah.
Do you think there's an effort to help people to
Uh,
understand that mindset, or sort of cultivate that type of building?
yeah, for sure. I think this is promoted by the organizers of DEAC, like DEAC Kitchen, Decentralized Differential Defensive Acceleration. I mean, Vitalik is pretty influential. He's like mm, he's encouraging people to uh, think in DEAC ways, to build in DEAC ways. Shout out to QZ who's not here. He is also, he put together the Ethereum Singapore week. He organized it, and part of that, there was a segment on DEAC, facilitated and organized by Vitalik himself. So I think with more of these events, showing people what they can build on top of OSS, we can truly promote like the value of OSS. And of of course, with the content that you guys are doing here, Dan and Jay, um, it's just make it easier for builders to come into the ecosystem and then figure out what they do so that they can like grow in this ecosystem in a more sustainable long-term manner.
Yeah, Jay, you're talking to builders. What do you think about this? Do you think the people that you talk to have that open mind to building with open source, building with cypherpunk values?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, my personal interest is in privacy and things like that. So it should be open sourced. Um, to be verifiable. So and also the core value of Ethereum is hardness, and the Korean the stance of the Korean government is also changing and is getting more
Mm.
crypto friendly. So I expect more and more institutions will come to this space, and they need privacy and other uh, aspects or properties of Ethereum. So I believe they will build on top of Ethereum, and they will definitely understand uh, the value of open source. So, for example, the biggest CEX in Korea is Upbit, and they announced launching their OP Stack Layer 2 called Kiwa, and they chose OP Stack because it's open sourced, and uh, they will customize. I believe they will customize a little bit, but uh, if they implement some privacy or trustless properties on top of Kiwa chain, they need to uh, go open sourced. So yeah, in my opinion, I mean I never heard of their opinions, but many builders in Korea are also interested in open source, and the ticker is ETH is also trying to host some build-a-thon uh, about those open source softwares.
Wow. Well, I hope you do some videos and blogs and tell us more about those meetups that you're hosting. I'm really excited to hear more about them and some takeaways from talking to people there.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
I think those stories from those meetups is going to be really impactful for other people to hear. Say, wow, I made a new friend, but I also started building something with them, and that's the real unlock here is that, making friends, meeting people at events and saying, hey, why don't we just build something that's
Mhm.
useful? Um, I was talking to someone recently at a coffee shop about how we can build loyalty programs. And, when you're in a tourist city, it's like, okay, how do we get tourists to come back once they've left? You know, um, and being able to either trade those loyalty points or give them to someone else, that would be really interesting. Especially when a lot of people go to these cafes and they just go there only to take pictures. And it's like, okay, well, come back and buy some more coffee or get some more loyalty points when you're here to take your picture, things like that. I think that's something that needs to happen more often, especially with so many cafes and around this region, we can just we just do things and make things happen and help to enrich our communities here, and sort of teach people about what it means to take ownership, to operate with privacy at the forefront. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got this chance to talk. Would you like to tell us exactly where people can find you on the Octant Epoch 9 allocation page?
You can search the ticker is ETH on Octant, and we will share the information, or we will announce the information about the build-a-thon and meetups in the near future.
Amazing.
You can find me at Full Value Dan on Octant and socials.
Yeah, you can find ETH Panda on Octant and also on Twitter.
Okay, amazing. And I am Riley Beans and Kimmy Mag on Octant. I run a Telegram channel, a Substack, and some workshops around Asia. So thank you all for chatting with me today. We will come back 2 more times before the allocation windows
Yes.
end and chat some more, maybe with some new people from Asia to hear about what they're doing, and excited to chat again.